Okay, the word for the day. The word for the day is euphoric. Euphoric. Now, I want to ask the children first. They get the first crack at this. Any child under 15 can answer this if they know. Euphoric. What does euphoric mean? Don't everyone jump at once, okay? All right. Anybody else? Euphoric. Happy, giddy happy. Just, oh my God, it's wonderful. Well, that's the word today, because that's the scriptures today. 3/4 of the readings, 75%, and I'm going to up it to 92.7% because of the end of the gospel. It's all good news. This really is a day of good news. So we have Baruch. Baruch in the Old Testament writes a letter, they called it a letter of consolation to Israel. Israel had it rough. It was divided into two kingdoms. It was thrown away into exile. They were beaten in battle and war, and they would finally come back, but they were devastated. And then, here we are in the time of Jesus. He's born in occupied territory. The Romans were everywhere, and people were paying taxes, and their military was there. You couldn't do anything to upset Rome because Rome would squash you like a bug. So Baruch writes about the promise when Israel would come back and everything would be good, and all the nations would look up to Israel as God's people, and they would be thrilled, euphoric, to know Israel, the people of God. What a letter. And then we sang, "The Lord has done great things for us. We are filled with joy." So can we? The Lord has done great things for us. We are filled with joy. Oh, you did it correctly. God, I did it like you did at the last Mass. You did a pause there. Excellent. But you weren't very euphoric. Could we do it with a little euphoria? Okay, ready? The Lord. You're not giddy yet. Can you listen to what you said? The Lord has done great things for us. Really? Really? What's He done that's so great? Try it one more time. A little euphoria. Ready? Better. Yay! A little dissonant, but that's okay. Wow. Wouldn't that be something if that's what we really felt? And then we have the second reading. This is completes that 75%. Paul's writing this letter in prison. He's in prison thinking he's going to be killed. And he writes his letter to the community of Philippi. He's thrilled, and he says to them, "You people, you embrace the gospel. I'm so proud of you. You're walking with Jesus Christ. I love you so much. Thank you for the inspiration you give me." Total good news, total euphoria for this community of faith. Then we get to the gospel. Now, it's in all the gospels, this little passage about John the Baptist going out in the desert to preach forgiveness of sins, time of repentance. But only in Luke does he precede it with this little historical section. And he gives us 5 of the rulers of the land, the Romans, who have occupied. And don't do it now, but later on, take this gospel, go to Google, and Google those names. You'll see some real creeps in there, some real creepy rulers, mean, nasty people. That was the civil historic period. And then names Annas and Caiaphas, 2 of the priests of the temple. So we're getting both a civil and religious historical context into which John the Baptist comes. But he doesn't just come and do this because he feels like it. He's called by God, given the words by God. And he is sent to proclaim this good news, to level the mountains and fill up the valleys and make a highway to the Lord, straight and narrow, so people can go and meet the Lord. And that's what we will do at Christmas, when we will go over to that manger and see the baby Jesus, and we'll all be very happy about that. And we should be. It's wonderful. That's why we lit the second candle. The third candle is a pink one, because we're getting really giddy and euphoric next week, like it's almost here. Oh my God, it's almost here. And in the shortest possible Advent is when the pink candle gets lit on Saturday, I should say Friday. Well, yeah, because Saturday would actually be the vigil of Christmas then, or whatever. You know what I'm saying? So then we will be really giddy on the fourth Sunday. Boom, we're on Christmas the next day. There you have it. Well, as a result of this, I feel like I'm in a ho-ho-ho mood. A ho-ho-ho mood. I am going to be Santa Claus to you early this year. Now, I'm going to give this book away for free, operative word, free. However, when Santa comes down the chimney, and he does, some families like to leave a cookie and some milk. I don't know if you do that, but it's a nice thing. He doesn't ask for it. He doesn't expect it. But some families leave a cookie and a glass of milk. Some even leave chocolate milk. That's why he's so big. That's why he's so big. So even though it's ho, 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 these little baskets are here, not for decoration. If you wish to put something in, you may, but don't feel you have to. I mean it. They are free. They're paid for already. And I want every family to take one. Just one per family. One per family, but with this promise. After you read it, you'll pass it on to at least 3 other people. So I have 500 books, which means hopefully before Christmas, 2,000 people will read this. Here's the title: The Biggest Lie in the History of Christianity. The biggest lie in the history of Christianity. Spoiler alert. In the small title up here it says, How Modern Culture is Robbing Billions of People of Happiness. How modern culture is robbing billions of people of happiness. It's in here. Basically, this is Matthew Kelly, by the way, the same one who does those little cards with the 7 steps. And that contains exactly what he's talking about. You see, in those 7 steps, the examination of conscience, and I did it every day in the seminary for 12 years, and what we did was just go negative, how I had sinned, how I blew it. And I suppose in our church in those years and before that, that's basically how we looked at ourselves. We're sinners. We need redemption because we basically have failed. We are sinners. We're broken. And it's true, we are broken. And I think that, for me, is one of the best ways to describe our sin, or as we call original sin, a brokenness in our human condition. We can be good, and then boom, fall on our face. We can say nice words all day long and then criticize somebody or gossip in a way that is just so bad. Why do we do it? We even say with St. Paul, we don't want to do it. We see the good, we see the bad, we don't want the good we want to do. We don't want this, we want this, and then we do this. Why? And Scripture talks about being broken, that sin is part of our condition. But much more important than that is our goodness. And this is the truth that this book is trying to say. Do we realize how blessed we are? Do we realize how holy we are, how good we are? And the vast majority of our day, all day long, we say good things. We do. And then we slip here and there. Most of us do good all day long, are considerate and thoughtful and courteous all day long, and then we slip. Most of us treat people fairly and kindly and thoughtfully, and then we slip. But what do we look at? Many people, only the negative. I've sat in that confessional, not that one, but one like that for 42 years. And I hear people come in and think they are so bad, and they come in and they're supposed to confess their sin, say they're sorry, and move on. Like Joan Rivers says, can we talk? Can we talk? I have people come in every once in a while who will say, Father, I just want to confess this one sin again. Oh, my ears go up again. So I listen. Yes. And I say, well, when did this happen? 32 years ago, Father. And you're still confessing? Oh, yes, I confess it all the time. I said, well, why? Well, I just want to be sure that God has forgiven me. So I say to them, oh, your sin is so big. Your sin is so special that God can't forgive it. Is that? No, that's not what I'm saying. I said, yes, it is what you're saying. You're saying you have to keep confessing it because it's too big and God doesn't have the power to forgive it. If He forgives it, say thank you and move on. Can we talk? Move on. But this lie is pervasive. This lie, it makes us look at our faults. I love in that little card that I've given to so many of you, his examination of conscience, he doesn't say your worst self. He says, in the last 24 hours only, just in the recent past, the last 24 hours, think of the times that you were your best version of yourself and not your worst version, not your best version. Your best version and not your best version. I like it because that's a little bigger. You know, I might say, do you like your glasses? You do? You're not going to be hurt if I call you Four Eyes, are you? No? Well, what if I did? Oh, yeah, that's weird. People with glasses are used to that, okay? Four Eyes. And now some people might be really hurt, but she's tough, I can tell, okay? Now, what if I all day long would say a good thing, and that was my little slip, Four Eyes, and I saw her go like this, and I caused that. Somehow I was responsible for that. Now, Matthew Kelly says, look at when you're your best version of yourself and not your best version. Not that you beat somebody up, but you said something that was just a little hurtful, okay? I tell you, today, I just broke my record right here now, but today I got up, and I do it more and more. When I name my best version, I think of many things I did and thought of, and even when I thought something bad but didn't say it or do it, I chose not to. I chose it. And many times I cannot think of a time when I wasn't my best version. I think and I say, you know, I was pretty darn good all the last 24 hours. I like who I was. I like who I was. And doing this prayer, this examination of conscience helps me keep putting up before my own eyes my best version of who I am, who I want to be. So the very doing of it is provoking me to become better. And I choose all day long to be my best version. My best version. That's what this book is talking about. Do we get it? How holy we are. Now, in 1971, there was a big event in Los Angeles. Did anybody know what it was? Earthquake! Earthquake! Silmar. I was already in Camarillo in the seminary college, but one of my best friends, it goes way back to high school and seminary, was Gilbert Cruz. And Gilbert was awakened early, I think it was like 5 in the morning or something like that. And the earth started shaking. We felt it up in Camarillo, but he was like right near the epicenter in San Fernando, just a mile or two away. And they got up, they woke up like real fast, everybody. And then they had dressed and ran out. He didn't grab his shoes in the commotion. And he stood in like February, I think it was, in very cold, on asphalt, terrible cold weather. He never forgot it. Flash forward. We're 10 or 15 years ordained. We went to Mexico City where they've had a few earthquakes. They had one this year, just a few months ago. And we had a room together, and before he got in his bed, he got in his pajamas, he folded his pants over the chair and put his shirt, and then he put his shoes and his socks up on the chair. I said, Gilbert, what are you doing? What are you doing? He says, well, first of all, I don't want any cockroaches to get in my shoes in case there are any here, or mice. But secondly, what if there's an earthquake? I said, are you kidding me? He said, well, what if there's an earthquake? Okay, still does it to this day. Still does it. Now, after that earthquake and standing out there in the cold, and by the way, he hates the cold. He usually wears like 4 layers of shirts and things. And I say, what are you doing? Yeah, I hate to be cold. I hate to be cold. Okay. He had this great fear always that he might have to run out in an earthquake and not have his shoes. So he put those shoes up there on the chair in fear. Now, we're zooming forward about 25 years, and he still does it. And he still does it today. And my question would be this. Gilbert, do you do that out of fear or to be prepared? Somebody this morning tried to outguess me and said, both. Maybe. But I think if it began out of fear, and it did, it gradually became less and less. And it eventually became he's prepared. And he always prepares. He's not going to bed thinking, oh my God, what if there's an earthquake? Oh, I felt a little shake there. Was that an earthquake? He's not there. But he just said, should there be one, I want to be prepared. That's Advent. That's Advent. We're preparing to celebrate a birthday of Jesus, but what we're really preparing all through Advent, looking forward, is the end of time when Jesus will come. We know it's going to happen. We're not going to be here forever, this earth. The universe isn't going to be, it obviously had to be created at some point in history and time, and it's a fair assumption to say it'll probably end sometime. And we talk about that, the second coming, when Jesus will come in. Are we prepared? Well, how do you prepare? You put your shoes on the chair. You put your shoes on the chair so you're prepared. And that's what this book is trying to say. Are we prepared to meet the Lord today? Not in fear, not shaking because we're sinners, and we are, but realizing how blessed and grace-filled we are. We're anointed people. We were anointed in baptism. We have God dwelling in us. Mary gave birth to the physical body of Jesus. We give birth to Jesus every single day in the world by the words that we say or don't say, because we're filled with holiness. You know, Los Angeles has 5 million people. And I'm not a big fan of murder at all. I hope nobody gets murdered. I think it's awful. But it exists. If there's one murder in Los Angeles in a year, it bothers me. But on the other hand, if there's only 300, for 5 million people, that's a tiny, tiny percentage. For the most part, we're very good people. I hate the fact if there's even one. But if there are 300 this year, I'm going to say, God, thank you, God, it's not 400 or 4,000. It's a tiny percentage. Do we realize how good we are in Los Angeles? This truly is the city of angels. It's got the second highest population of many or most countries right here. Their second population. We even beat Guadalajara. It was Mexico City, Guadalajara, and Los Angeles. About 3 years ago, I heard on the radio, I know it's true, that it's Mexico City, Los Angeles, and Guadalajara. Get that! Can we talk? We are an amazing city. So many languages, so many cultures, so many religions, so many non-religions, even Satan worshipers. We've got it all here. Different politics. Everything is here. And we get along pretty darn well. And my only guess at why is we're pretty good people. We're pretty good. But do we appreciate that? Do we celebrate it? And do we think of it in this way? Not only am I filled with holiness, I can give it away. I can share my holiness with you. Instead of saying a bad word, I can say, I like those glasses, and you are pretty smart to pick the red because they match your school clothes. Smart girl. I redeemed myself. Wasn't that nice? And we can do that all day long. What would happen if this 2,000 people that are going to read the book and really fast, get to it. No, you can take your time, but just get to it, okay? Read it in a week. It's only 110 pages. And then pass it on to somebody else. What if 4 per family have read it? What if 2,000 people, before we dare to meet Jesus in the crib, have met him right here in our own hearts and are filled with joy? Our God has done great things for us. We are filled to the brim with joy. We're euphoric. We're putting our shoes on the chair, not because we're afraid, because we want to be prepared.